Hey y'all, good morning and welcome to Emily Talks. This is Emily, as you may have figured. I wanted to talk today about celebrating wins, especially because I am trying to successfully manage a very distressing time for myself. My particular mental health challenges come in cycles, and being able to deal with the lows of the cycles is what the whole journey is about. Honestly, because I want to stay present and available to my life. And one of the hardest parts, very obviously, is going to be when the tough symptoms are around. So, yesterday, I did some fantastic self-care. I felt that I was overwhelmed, and I took, a 5-hour nap. I slept and I slept and I needed that. Something that I have come to realize about mental health struggles is I need to treat it just like I would for a physical health issue. And sometimes sleep is necessary. There's several different really great things about sleep in handling mental health issues, that it's hard to suss out what's the right thing, because sleeping too much can also be a symptom of poor mental health. So there's a few things that I'm going to share about sleeping in particular. Please check out the links in the description, because that's going to be some professional data that can hopefully give a better picture and a greater picture than just, again, my non-expert conclusions that I've drawn from the information that I've had and the experiences that I particularly go through. So as far as sleeping is concerned, let's start with babies. When babies are born, they are developing a lot of neural network connections, and that happens during REM sleep. That's rapid eye movement sleep. There's actually these really cool connections between eyes moving around and accessing different parts of your brain, which is super fun because when you're actually thinking of something, like I just looked down there, is because I was accessing different parts of my brain to come up with the right words, to think of the concept that I wanted to talk about. Every time that you see my eyes move off into the distance or kind of do this back and forth, that is the expression of, reaching into my brain and finding the right words or thinking about the experience that I need to be able to communicate. So I think that's pretty darn cool. And that's really, really important for babies, that sleeping is because not only are the neural networks forming, but it's taking that information, that overwhelming sensory input after coming out of the womb and being in this dark, snug, warm sort of place where all of the sounds are kind of muted, to the bright lights, people talking at you, the stimulations, being able to flail your arm and it actually makes your entire body jerk. All of those things are kind of distressing, and it takes a lot of time to understand them and to categorize them, and that's what happens during those sleep stages. So that's one thing that I want to pull from. Next thing that I want to pull from is overstimulation. So that same thing that happens in children, if you look at individuals who have disruptive neurodivergence, which I think I fall somewhere on that scale. I'm really not super concerned with what my particular title or any of those things are. I just know that I fall on that neurodivergent scale, simply because I often will become overwhelmed by input, and that may be just a trait of my PTSD. Who knows? Either way, certain times, I can get really overwhelmed and I just need to calm down, to find quiet, and even to sleep. So being able to have that step away from overwhelming sensations is super important. And then the final thing that I want to talk about is, the healing that happens in the body during sleep. So there's a sense of conservation of energy, so that energy can be applied elsewhere versus in the brain directly, for, staying awake, maintaining all of the functions of wakefulness. When I have a cold or, whatever, if I'm fighting off some kind of infection, my body needs sleep. It's totally normal. I don't go around and beat myself up for spending a day in bed if I'm having physical illness. So why would I then beat myself up for needing downtime during severe mental health issues? And I'm going to actually tie this in after I marry all of those three ideas there, to making sure that this doesn't become a maladaptive coping mechanism or an avoidant behavior. What is the difference between self-care and self-sabotage? So when I think of those three separate concepts of, babies needing to take care of overwhelming experiences and develop those neural networks during REM sleep, the similarities between babies and those who have neurodivergence, having ways to be able to shut down some of that input. And, for me, that's sleep. And then the final thing being, if I'm ill, listen to the needs of my body. All three of those things have come together to let me understand that, although depression does manifest as a lack of motivation to get out of bed, that is a separate issue from being so overwhelmed and listening to my body that I need to take time to sleep, to process, and not feel guilt, shame, disappointment in myself. All of these things are super duper important, because how am I going to make progress if I can't care for my body the way that it needs to be cared for? If I am incredibly overwhelmed and I'm just like, I cannot sleep and I can't do these other steps to calm down because, taking breaks away from being present in my current situations, fully present, doesn't take into account that I need to be present for myself, not just for the shit that's going on around me. And, I'm going to try to steer away from cursing as much as I can, but sometimes it just really calls for it. The stuff that goes on around me is, it's distressing and it is overwhelming. And that's what I refer to when I'm talking about that stuff, is the things that overwhelm. And all of that is just garbage, it's just stuff that I need to, sorry, totally tech nerd moment, but clear out my cache and cookies so that I can increase performance, get rid of the unhelpful data so that I can focus on what's actually important. So all of this ties into a super important part of DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy. DBT focus is like the model of DBT focuses on stepping away from a situation, employing distress tolerance skills or grounding skills, so that I can come back to the situation and address it. And that I think that final step is the most important part of DBT, that makes it not just retreating and living in a cloud or self-sabotaging, is that I make that final step to come back and address the issue, address whatever needs to be done in the day. And sometimes the issue is letting go of problems in the past so that I can be present right here in the future, in this moment, and deal with what's going on in this moment, like cleaning my home, making dinner, interacting with people who are here in front of me instead of the head garbage that chatters away telling me that these people are never going to accept me, they're going to abandon me if I'm not perfect, that I must please them, even if they're people that I find later that I didn't even really like, putting all that energy into it. Oh my goodness. So the difference that's going to be between staying in bed because of depression and sleeping to help myself regulate is listening to my body, connecting with my body's needs, which was really, really hard for me. There was a lot, I don't know if this is something that other people struggle with who are also going through these same things, but if you don't, the way that this particularly impacts me, having to learn how to talk to my body and listening to my body is something that I've had to learn over time. Part of the experiences that I had were very denying. That doesn't hurt. You're doing this for attention. Just a really invalidating environment. And the way that I particularly dealt with that was, when I was ill, I got a lot more attention, or when something was going on, I got a lot more attention. But also that I was, if it was seen in another light, which is hard, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. I was in a situation where, according to the perceptions and emotions of those around me, was whether or not my experience was validated. And in that varying context of sometimes I believe you, sometimes I don't. And then when I am being believed about something going on, I am fawned over and I'm treated well and I'm cared for. Whereas, being the fifth of 6 children, I don't get a lot of attention. I don't get a lot of one-on-one time. And then on the other hand, going through incredibly traumatic experiences and, hearing messages of stop being such a drama queen, you're so dramatic, that doesn't hurt, you want me to feel guilty, just different varying messages that are incredibly confusing to a child that is developing a concept of self and listening to one's own body. So that development within me became injured. And I wouldn't say injured, because that starts from a place of having done well or having already been put together. It was more of a development that had the potential to happen, did not happen in the intended manner. And I ended up with different behaviors that suited the situation that I was in, instead of honoring the facts of reality outside of the abuse that I experienced. So when it comes down to listening to my body, yesterday I felt overstimulated. I was, I guess the best way to say it is that, if somebody talked to me, it would kind of come through as just sounds and syllables, and I would really have to pause my brain to try to process that. And the extra brain juice that I was giving to interpret the message that had just come through, if the next person started talking, or if they were if a response was expected from me, the conversation has already moved on, and yet I'm still trying to process the immediate thing that had come before. And new jumbled sounds are coming at me, and my brain just short circuits. Or if I am trying to do the exact same action and something moves in my periphery, that is like, hey, there's new information coming in. My brain just isn't able to keep up with this stimuli. And I don't know how many other people experience this. I know that it's absolutely something that people experience, particularly with how neurodivergence is getting more attention and broadening its scope, because there's so many different ways that people experience differences in how they deal with the world around them. And severe autism or Asperger's, which I know that these kind of titles are starting to be retired, which I really, really love. And seeing this more as a spectrum of, an expression of brain chemistry and the way that, those neural networks work. I know that there are going to be more people out there who have the same experience as myself, but I also realize that there may be other people who are hearing my story and they really don't know what that's like. And it's literally where people will say sounds and I can't interpret them in real time. They come into my brain and I try to approximate back what had happened. And that takes a lot of skill. Or energy. It takes a lot of energy to try to redirect my brain into, transcribing what has happened and then relaying it back to myself after the fact. And then things have already moved forward. So when my brain is that far behind, that happens in more than just conversation. So if I'm walking forward, may not be able to interpret shapes as objects. So I will see like colors and things like that are organized in a certain way, but I'm not able to see distinct objects. So, I'll see like, a table and a chair. What I see more is going to be a brown rectangle and some silver, rods, a blue curve. I even lose some of my perspective of 3D. So things kind of seem flat and they don't have this dimension of interaction with myself. So if I end up bumping into something and I have interacted with the things that I'm seeing, it's startling. It's deeply startling. Like, oh my gosh. So that's the kind of experience that I was having yesterday. And trying to come to terms with that took a long time. I think that recognizing more what my symptoms look like from kind of an abstract view of viewing what my own experience is from like kind of outside of my experience and being able to express to you what that looks like is something that I've only been able to recently recognize. When I snap into myself again and I become aware of what's going on, in the past I have struggled with thinking that I was being dramatic, making things up, that I was daydreaming, or just different things that were moral judgments about this neurodivergent experience that I have. And neurodivergence is not a moral issue. It's not that I want to check out. It's not that I can't handle being around other people because, I'm just not caring enough about it. It's because I deal with these really significant experiences that it's like walking through this muted chamber and then having to like, you know, sludge through the jelly that's kind of holding me in to reach out to the stimulus that's around me and understand it. So, I think that's a pretty good overview of what that experience looks like. And then, choosing to sleep, reset that. I was able to give my mind that break that it really needed. And, you know, my house is still equally as messy as it was before. I've thought about maybe doing a video, like a time lapse, sped up, showing me cleaning up this crazy space. And I think that would be cool for a few different reasons. Mainly because I know that I can bring visibility to what it looks like when things get out of control, and also give an experience of that getting back under control, that seeing the chaos and then seeing somebody approach that and to take care of it may be the thing that helps you feel less afraid of the chaos in front of you, that it is doable, you can tackle it, and giving some before and afters. I know that I love those types of videos, and that they strengthen my sense of I can do this in myself, particularly when I see houses that are truly dirty, that person lives in, who's also somebody who can accomplish cleanliness and order, not somebody going in and cleaning up for somebody else who's just not able to deal with it themselves, but somebody that it's their own home. I think that would be a really cool thing to contribute with y'all if you're interested in seeing something like that, or me doing a small series on tackling difficult issues. Please comment about it in the comments, because that would be something that I would love to invest in to share with you, and help strengthen your ability to tackle difficult issues in your life as well. I think that there's something really powerful about exposing exactly what those struggles look like, and then, you know, be vulnerably showing the before picture, the process, and then the afterwards. And things build up consistently in my life, like brushing my teeth. Like if I could come forward and just say, you know, today my teeth look like this, and you know, I'm over here brushing them and just doing a short on it, and then smiling and like, I did it. I feel like that may be really inspiring for others. So if that's something that you really connect with, or if there's something in particular that you're maybe struggling with, that I can connect with as well, I can do a short something or other on it. So comment about that if that's something interesting to you. Otherwise, there's going to be tons of stuff in the description about sleep in particular, and how it can be used as a regulation device. So check all of that out. All of this leads back over to approaching the issue again. So I'm also going to leave some links about what is DBT, as well as a link to the DBT workbook, if you want to be working on that while connecting with my channel. The DBT workbook can be kind of sterile because it will talk about other people, but seeing it in action, especially with the distress tolerance hospitalization program that I did, and connecting with other people who use these skills in real life, is so much more impactful than reading the words. So highly recommend that if you have the capability of getting a DBT workbook, check out the link here in the description. Purchase one for yourself and go through some of these skills and steps with me, and you know, connect with my progress to be able to share your own progress, and please comment about it. Let me know how you're doing, and if my videos make a difference, or if there's something that you would like to see change, or there's a particular topic that means a lot to you, please let me know, because I'm here for you. I'm here for you, and it's what I want to do. I want to move the world, and I want to move the world by moving you. So today, coming back around to, I'm going to handle the situation. A few things that are really distressing me is the beads that fell on Sunday. They fell on Sunday when I was doing the meeting for art with Robert and Amy Nasir, or, well, I guess Robert's there. Amy is the one who runs that. I will also leave a link to their information below. I super love this couple. They've made a huge impact in my life. But yeah, I was working on doing these beads the other day while I was, hanging out with them, doing the meeting for art. And then I knocked the beads over. They are still on my goddamn floor. It is Wednesday. I missed the Tuesday meeting because yesterday I was taking care of being overstimulated, and I'm okay with that. So, ever since Sunday when we did the meeting, it's now Wednesday. The beads are still on the floor. I've been trying really hard to get my son to help me out at home, and that's a very imperfect experience. So right now I have a little over a week's worth of dishes piled up. So I'm going to tackle those dishes because I don't want to use any of the chores as a means of beating my son over the head with his failures. I want to take care of what needs to be taken care of and give him opportunities to care for the house as well and strengthen that. Just like I want to change the narratives in my life about shame, guilt, failure into positive reinforcement of good behaviors. Because I'm doing that for myself, I have so much more grace for my son, where I'm not holding him to these standards of, okay, do it right now, because everything's going to change and you're going to do it on a dime, turn on a dime and just do it right now. And if you fail, then, you've got a problem, because I need to identify what's wrong with your motivation to be able to get you to do this. And, whatever's wrong with you, that you're not meeting the arbitrary thing that I just set up out of nowhere for you to start taking care of the house. So part of my goal is, when things get overwhelming, to reset and clean that slate and give Mark a fresh opportunity to do better. And then lots of high fives, lots of just big genuine smiles and saying, oh my gosh, look at this clean place. And my son, he doesn't like to share a lot of his thoughts and feelings unless he's rambling on about random facts that, at least 80% of them are completely made up. It's kind of annoying. But he doesn't like to really talk about or share his genuine feelings, and he does not like to deal with having a clean and orderly lifestyle, which is definitely something that I created in his life. And the way that I'm going to go about and change that is the same way that I changed for myself. And I can see him glowing from the inside. It's just something as a mom that I can see, even if he's not smiling or talking about it. I can tell when he's shut down versus when his chest opens. And I'm not one for mysticism in particular, but I am somebody who deeply believes in spiritual experience of being a human. And there's this really fantastic idea from the chakras, which is like Hindu, an Indian thing. The heart chakra is when, I'm slouched in or I'm protecting myself from doing any of this. That is a closed off heart chakra. And that shows fear and anxiety and worry for judgment and all of these different things. And when I open up my heart chakra, when I open up my chest, I show confidence in myself, self-acceptance, and I also am here to tackle things, to share my love. And I kind of feel that sort of opening coming up from my son and his chest, where he is just happy with connecting with me, happy with doing a good job and receiving that praise and acceptance and hope, and not being made to feel like he's only good enough if he does perfectly, and even then it's just like, good, you know, it's just like, finally you're doing something around here. I don't want those messages in my son's head. I don't want him to struggle with the exact same things that I do. So I'm really, really changing that. So that's on my schedule today, is, you know, really giving myself credit and celebrating the wins of, you know, taking the nap. That is a huge win, because now I feel more regulated. I'm not so distressed as I was yesterday, and taking that impetus to push myself to do more around the home and get things in a better order and continue to check in with myself, because cleaning is distressing for me. There's a lot of negative thoughts that go around in my head around that. So if I need to take more time back and recalibrate again, to honor that, and to also keep a focus on progress, so that I, you know, finally bringing up, putting that bean in the can, I want to, you know, really focus down all of those ideas about I'm creating a better life. I did well to take care of myself, and I'm taking the feeling well to invest those new spoons that I've created in my energy to take care of something that's important to me, so that every time that I'm caring for myself and then doing better, I can strengthen that neural connection between self-care, reapproaching the situation, and feeling joy and happiness and fulfillment. And over time, it's going to get easier and easier, such that eventually it'll just go straight to something needs to be taken care of, and I feel joy in caring for my home and caring for myself. So I'm hoping to eventually have to being able to drop out the distress tolerance skill, where I have to step away from the situation and just be able to go straight into, I am excited to care for myself and to care for my home. So I hope that you have some great wins in your own life that you can connect with in this moment. Even wins that may feel like a few steps back may just be what your life needed at that moment. And that's a celebration, because you can come back to the situation in a better space of mind, a better space of opportunity, or finding new pathways that you never thought were possible, because you were so close up in the situation. So I hope that this gives you encouragement in your day.